Hi everyone, welcome back. It has been a while. This is a book review on 5 books that have honestly changed my life from my core. My goal this year is to read 60 books a year, and I'm right on track and I'm doing well. I really enjoy nonfiction, although I have been getting into fiction a lot lately. So I wanted to go a little bit more in depth in these books than you'll see at the normal book review. So something I do that really helps me remember, because often I'll read a book and it'll be amazing and it'll truly call to me, and while I'm reading it I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this book, so many great lessons, and then I just move on to the next and I forget. So now I keep a book journal and I just write the title of the book and when I read it and what things I got out of it. That's what this is. So let's get started. And by the way, I read everything on my Kindle. I only have like a small stack of books because this is not on the book list, but you know what? Let's put it on there. Book The Joy of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo is one of the books that changed my life. She talks about decluttering, and really there's another book as well called The Minimalist. I'm sure you saw the documentary on Netflix, and they have a podcast that I really like. Basically saying anything you own, touch it and say, does this bring value to my life, or does this bring me joy? And if the answer is no, I get rid of it. Books are probably the only thing that I would buy, but I actually like to take my Kindle on the elliptical and be hands-free and then just swipe. Or I like to read it sometimes at my lunch break, and I like to read 2 books at once, one fiction, nonfiction, so I always have my Kindle because I don't want to carry around a bunch of books. The first book that I've recently read is The Urban Monk by Padram Shojaya, and it is just like urban, modern way to be a monk, to have the mind of the Buddha. He has hacks for happiness and growth. It was a very quick read, and I was like, oh my gosh, why don't I do this? Why I'm gonna do this. And it's just so straightforward and interesting. And some things I wrote down: if the small stuff is getting you down, then do greater things. And I noticed with all the books I'm gonna talk about, the one thing that they all have in common is they ask, you know, who am I? What is my purpose in life? Where did I come from? What is the reason that I'm here? You know, to ponder those things is what makes us human beings, and maybe we forgot about that. It's very easy to forget about that, but at the end of the day, you know, if we are alive on this earth, we're really lucky, because most people that have been alive are dead. Does that make sense? Most people that have been alive are dead. They were given a short time on earth to do what they want, to live out their purpose, to have adventures, to fall in love, to procreate, to live out their passions. And anyways, I'm kind of going off topic. This one's interesting. Life is not a spectator sport, and that's why TV is poison. The most precious asset we have is time. So basically, just commenting on that, TV shows, if you have something that changes pictures more than 3 seconds, it's actually been proven to be bad for your brain. They're saying it's the cause of a lot of children with ADD. You have a short attention span, and if you have a short attention span, that's going to affect your relationships. And also the media that's portrayed in a lot of the commercials that are under those 3-second images that pop up is just trying to brainwash you into things that you think you need, that have nothing to do with actually being happy and living your purpose. Change is the only constant in the universe. Silence is where all the energy is. Lying there and asking big questions keeps us sane and grounded. Where did the Big Bang come from is like one of the questions you could ask yourself, just looking at the sky. Like, how did this all start? Like, isn't it amazing that all these little things happen, all these microorganisms happened, and it made me, it made my vessel. So to think about it is truly amazing. And then when you meditate, to think about your body and be aware of, these are my cells. I literally, when I close my eyes, I think I talked about this before, but I'll be like, you know, thank you, heart, for beating. Your blood is going into all the veins and the arteries. It's coming back to the lungs. It's cleansing itself. It's going to the organs, and it's thank you so much. And thank you, liver, for cleaning my blood and, you know, regenerating. And thank you. Like, I'll go through everything and just like give thanks to my body. A good way to be present is pay attention to your posture and your breathing. If you're breathing fast, are you anxious about something? If your posture is slumped, are you feeling sad? You know, pay attention to your body. Okay, so that was an amazing book. It's called The Urban Monk. He also has a podcast as well. That's good. Some people didn't like him because he's not very Zen-like. He uses like profanity, but that doesn't bother me. It's just, if anything, it makes him feel normal. I don't know. The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. This book is truly like spiritual, soulful. This book really concentrates on consciousness. And what is consciousness, right? I think of it as it's indescribable. It's being aware that you're aware. I think Eckhart Tolle said that. It's being aware that you're aware. You're aware of your thoughts. If you have a bad thought, you're aware that you thought the bad thought. Does that make sense? So we all have this voice in our head. If you close your eyes and say to yourself, hello, 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 do it right now. Okay. Who is that? Is that your consciousness, or is that your thoughts? Is that your spirit? It's something to think about. You could control that thought. Why can't you control some other thoughts? You know what? You can. You can control all your thoughts. So this book really dives deep into that, and it touched me. What are some things I wrote? Be open no matter what. Don't let anything that happens in life be important enough that you are willing to close your heart over it. Because most of us have the luxury of not worrying about food, clothing, or shelter. We have the luxury of worrying about a scratch on our car. We have developed the hypersensitive psyche. Pretty much all of you watching this video have your basic needs met. And for that, we are truly lucky. And so to be grateful for those things that we take advantage of, that we don't even think about because we're worrying about other things. You know, I know everyone has heard it, especially like my generation, because my mom is always like, I was like, Mom, look at my hair. It's like, ugh, I wish it was this, I wish it was curly or whatever. She's like, you know what, look at, you know, the ladies that had just had chemo. They don't even have hair. Some hair is better than none, right? Look at the kids who were in a fire and their scalps got burned off. And I'd be like, oh God, Mom, do you always have something to say? I can never just complain. Something like that. It's so true. And it's like, as I've come older, I'm like, oh my God, count those blessings every day, you know? If you don't like change, then you have fear. Anything you put out comes back. If you close around something, you will be psychologically sensitive about that subject for the rest of your life because you stored it inside of you. Work through it and work with your heart. I think that's important too. What I've learned, a lot of these books have it in common as well, is whenever a problem comes up, if you're feeling really angry, let yourself feel it. Be like, why am I feeling so angry? Oh, I feel it. My blood is boiling. I feel angry because of this or that. Feel it. Sit in it. It feels horrible. Sit in it. Realize why you feel like that. And then just let it go. And then it won't follow you around for the rest of your life. Like, let's all take care of our souls. You know, I wish they would teach us this more, especially kids. Like, I wish they would teach us in nursing school. You know, I know it's the body, and it's maybe not like anatomy, but it's so important, like our mindfulness. So as time goes on, I think they will do drastic changes with education, with kids, with schools, about consciousness, mindfulness, because, you know, even meditation would be amazing to teach kids in school. Because, you know, actually Goldie Hawn has a program, Mind Up, and they do that. They go to schools and they teach meditation and mindfulness. Those schools have less bullying, better grades, able to relax more, able to pay attention longer. So it's been proven. The holy man of consciousness who knows everything spiritual in my eyes, I feel like he's totally enlightened, but he would never say that, is Eckhart Tolle. He wrote The Power of Now and A New Earth. They're both very similar. They're both about consciousness, about awakening, and they go into some of the stuff, The Untethered Soul. Those three books, they're all kind of similar, but just hit different points. So A New Earth, realize you are not the voice, you are not the ego. Ego takes everything personally. Only through awareness can you differentiate between fact and opinion. Fighting unconsciousness will draw you into unconsciousness yourself. I learned this as well. You know, if you're trying to explain something and you think you are right, you may not be, and if you are, you shouldn't have to defend it. Let people be who they are and let people believe what they believe. I think, this is just me, but I'm trying not to give my opinion in things unless I'm asked, because people want it, they'll usually ask. Only presence can free you of the ego. What I experience, think, or feel is not who I am. I cannot find myself in all those things that continually pass away. The underlying emotion that governs all the activity of the ego is fear. Be aware of the thoughts you are thinking. Be one with life. Being one with life is being one with now. This too shall pass. I know a lot of you have heard of that. Remember the moments when the moments are happening. Then let go, good or bad, this too shall pass. I don't know if I've talked about this book before, but I just reread The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman because I went to one of his conferences he had, and I love him. I mean, he is such a sweet man, the go-to person for family marriage counseling. He's a psychiatrist. He dedicated his whole life to relationships, so I find it really interesting. The 5 love languages, if you've heard of it, it's that everyone kind of has their own love language, and oftentimes we attract someone as a spouse or a partner that is a different love language, and we have to figure out what each other's love language is. The 5 love languages are words of affirmation, physical touch, receiving gifts, quality time, and acts of service. And when I first read this book, I'm like, I'm all those things. But what is one that overcomes the other ones? Because that's your true love language. Everyone has one that is like their main love language. And if someone in your life could understand that, then they could show you the love that you require to feel ultimately deeply loved. And you could understand theirs. And I use this with friends, with family. Relationships is the one thing that you can take with you to the grave. And I know that you think you can't. I'm thinking of life more of what matters to me is what could I bring when I die? Like, it's going to be my spirit, my soul. What did I work on internally? So I feel good when I die. I know that sounds crazy, but I see death as a nurse, and so I think about it a lot, and I'm not scared of it, and I don't think it's a touchy subject, at least not with me. It's something that, what do I want to accomplish in my life? Am I going to be okay with myself, not only when I go to bed at night, but when I leave this earth, when my body dies? And ultimately, there's inner work that we could do, but the relationships are kind of the imprints that we leave on this planet. You know, how did I make that person feel? How did I give something to them that warmed their heart that they will pass on to somebody else? What kind of example did I set? You know, those things stay in my mind because that's going to stay with people that still are on the earth when you leave. So that's just something to think about. So those are 5. What did we go over? The Urban Monk, Untethered Soul, The Power of Now, A New Earth, and The 5 Love Languages, and the Marie Kondo book, The Joy of Tidying Up. So I am always reading. I have so many good books. I'm definitely going to do more book videos. I'm just so in love with reading and books. Please leave a comment of any book recommendations you have, or if you've read any of these books and they touch you as well. And thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely day. Bye!